Hi, my name is John Fortune, and today I'm going to read to you a book about one of America's early statesmen. What do I mean by a statesman? A person who helped create our country, the United States of America. You see, the United States wasn't always like it is today. It began in the 1700s as 13 individual colonies with separate rules and values, all under the rule of the King of England. But he wasn't just a statesman. He was a writer, a printer, publisher, scientist, inventor, and political philosopher. His name? Benjamin Franklin. He's one of the founding fathers of the United States, and he was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. That's not all he did. He also was the first Postmaster General. He discovered electricity, chartered and named the Gulf Stream, that current along the East Coast. He invented the lightning rod, bifocals, the harmonica, and the Franklin wood stove. As you already know, he is a man who changed the world. Let's read I Am Benjamin Franklin by Brad Metzler with illustrations by Christopher Iliopoulos and find out more about this amazing man who changed our world. I am Benjamin Franklin. I come from a big family in Boston, a really big one. I was the youngest boy with 10 older siblings and 2 younger sisters. That's a lot of people in a small house. Tell them, how small? It only had 2 rooms. As a kid, I loved swimming so much, I tried to figure out how to swim faster. First, I studied the problem. The bigger your hands and feet are, the more water you can push. Then I started to experiment. I made 2 big mitts that had holes in them for my thumbs. I also made a set for my feet. Whoa, look at them go now! My next swimming experiment was with a kite. You really think you can learn something from a kite? Do you want to break it to him, or should I? Once we got the kite into the air, I ran into a nearby pond. Almost there. Floating on my back, I waited for it to pull me across the water. Almost there. It's working. Meet me on the other side and bring my shoes. The kid's good with kites. If you're willing to experiment, you can learn something new and use it to improve things. At 10 years old, I got my first job, working for my dad, making candles and soap. It was hard work and really dull too. Hoping to find something I liked, my dad showed me many different jobs. That's a tailor who works on clothes. That's a baker who works with food. And that's a blacksmith, right? Yep, he works with metal. I like seeing all the ways to make things. The world has so much to discover. But there was one thing I liked most of all: reading books. I loved reading so much that anytime I had extra money, I'd use it to buy books. At 12 years old, one of my favorite books was this one, Plutarch's Lives. It taught me that our individual actions could change history and make the world better. That means history doesn't just happen by itself. It's written and built and improved upon by people like you and me. Since I loved reading and writing, I went to work for my brother, James. He owned one of the most powerful tools in the world, a newspaper. My brother's was the first independent paper in Boston. Back then, America was ruled by the King of England, King George III. But the king didn't control our newspaper, which meant that if he was being unfair, my brother could write a story about it. It's called a free press. I wrote that no leader should have infinite power. I wanted to be a writer too, but my brother wouldn't let me. So one night, when I was 16, I wrote an essay and slipped it under the door of the newspaper. I used different handwriting and a fake name, pretending I was an old woman who lived in the countryside. Mrs. Silence Dogood. I never heard of her. But wow, she can write. Let's print it. That's how I became a published author. Eventually, I decided to forge my own path, to write my own history. I headed for the big city, Philadelphia, my new home. On the day I arrived, I saw a girl, Deborah, in front of a house. Eventually, we'll get married. We'll what? I came to Philadelphia for a better job and a better life. I found both. But the number one thing I worked on to improve? Myself. In order to be a better person, I wrote new rules to live by, my very own plan for future conduct. First, be frugal, which means don't spend your money on things you don't need. Second, tell the truth. Third, work hard. Fourth, don't speak badly about other people. To sharpen my mind, I even started my own club, the Junto Club. We discuss great questions of the day, like, how do you achieve happiness? Why do these beads of sweat appear on a cold mug? If a government takes away the rights of its citizens, is it okay to fight back? Why do I feel like that's going to be a very important question? My most vital work came from my job. In Philadelphia, I opened a print shop of my own newspaper, the Pennsylvania Gazette. I was a champion of the free press, printing many different opinions. People will always have disagreements. That's not a bad thing. Remember, if you listen to just one side of an argument, you won't have all the important facts. You won't be able to make an informed decision. Early on, Ben printed this image, the very first political cartoon. Its meaning was that we were much stronger when we stand together. Every year, in addition to the newspaper, I also published Poor Richard's Almanac. An almanac is like a calendar containing weather forecasts and the times that the sun will rise and set. I also added advice like, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Haste makes waste. God helps them that helps themselves. He that lies down with the dogs shall rise up with fleas. No gains without pains. He really wrote all this stuff? He'll never say it, but at the time, he was probably America's best writer. My real goal was to help my readers be better people. If you want to improve the world, you need to start with yourself. Over time, I made a newer and bigger list of virtues to follow in life, 13 in total, including sincerity, which means what you say, justice, which means treating people fairly, and humility, which means not bragging. I tried mastering all of them at once, but it was impossible. Instead, I experimented. Every week, I focused on just one virtue. I'm a messy person, so this week I'm focusing on cleanliness. Next week will be moderation. None of us is perfect, but we can all keep working to make ourselves better. Throughout it all, I never lost my love of learning and discovery. I observed how people got sick and became one of the first to figure out that colds are contagious. I knew it. I did experiments to prove how dark colors absorb more heat than light ones. See? The snow under the dark ones melts more quickly. My theory of how storms move was the start of people predicting the weather. There she blows! And let's not forget my most important important scientific experiment. Electricity. Back then, people didn't know exactly how electricity worked. By observing it up close, I discovered that when there's a positive charge or energy of one type, there's also an equal negative charge or energy that holds the opposite. It was a massive scientific breakthrough. The words he invented, like charge and battery, are still being used today. I also noticed that terrible fires were being caused when the tops of church steeples got struck by lightning. There had to be a way to make them safer. First, I studied the problem. I think it's the metal roof. I think it's the metal is drawing the lightning from the sky. Are you sure about that? Let's experiment. At the time, I'd been waiting for a local church to finish building its steeple so we could put a metal rod up and test it. They were taking so long that my son and I decided to just try it ourselves with a kite. In June 1752, on a cloudy night, we put a pointy wire at the top of a silk kite. Then we tied a key to the kite's wet string, hoping it would show us sparks after the lightning hit the wire. Almost there. People think I was an old man by then, but I was only 46, and my son was 21. Almost there. When the clouds first passed over, nothing happened. Give it time, it's almost there. Almost there. And then the strands started to rise. Look at the string. And the key, it worked. Instead of hitting and burning the kite, the lightning was attracted to the metal. Soon after, the world's first lightning rods were installed in Philadelphia. To this day, rods around the world have prevented millions of fires. Of all my experiments, the most important one was this, the American experiment. Back then, the United States didn't exist. There were no states, just 13 colonies, all controlled by King George III, who was treating us unfairly. We shouldn't be ruled by a king. We should be our own country and make our own decisions. In 1775, the American Revolution was beginning. I was elected to the Second Continental Congress, where we voted for 13 colonies to join together and fight as one against the king. Over 20 years after he first published it, this cartoon became a symbol for the country to stand together for freedom. Thomas Jefferson was selected to write a document that would declare our independence from England. In it, we'd tell the king what kind of country we hoped to be. People who lived here would have certain rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Jefferson asked me to read his first draft. I made a number of changes, including this one. We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable. What if we change this to, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Through history, it has been true. Nothing can stop a good idea. In my life, I worked hard to improve things, including improving myself. It doesn't come easy. When you're trying to improve things, there will always be the risk of failure. Don't let it stop you. By learning from failures, you will make progress. New ideas are like lightning. They can appear instantaneously, striking from nowhere with staggering power. That power is yours. Use it wisely, and you'll change the world. Can you believe all his inventions? The lightning rod, bifocals, a mechanical arm for getting books off of high shelves, and so many more? Did you know that he also helped start a fire brigade, a corps of night watchmen, his own college, and the first ever subscription library? He was the only person to work on and sign the the 4 major documents that helped establish the United States: the Declaration of Independence, the Treaty with France, the Treaty with Paris, with Britain, and the Constitution. But no matter how famous he became, he continued to sign his name, B. Franklin, printer. We're responsible for ourselves and each other. Good people can do a lot individually, but it's nothing compared to what we can do together. I was a printer, a writer, an inventor, a scientist, a scholar, and a founding father. You don't have to be just one thing, but you do need to be a good person. You can always improve yourself. You can always improve your world. There are countless ways to do it. Look for problems that need solving. Experiment and find solutions. Help the people in your community. And of course, use your voice. Speak up and speak the truth. I am Benjamin Franklin. Improve yourself, improve the world. Isn't it amazing that a single person from a humble beginning went on to become such an important person in American history? It didn't just happen. He made it happen through hard work and sometimes failures, but he never gave up. His biggest success was his own self-improvement. He believed if you want to improve the world, you need to start by improving yourself. We may not all be great scientists or inventors or statesmen like Benjamin Franklin, but there is one thing we can do like him, and that's to continue to improve ourselves. We can pick one of his 13 virtues, like cleanliness or humility or justice, or any one of the others, and work on it today. Maybe start by cleaning your room, or help clean up after a meal, or be nice to a sibling, or even help mom or dad around the house. As Benjamin Franklin says, everything we do to improve ourselves will help improve the world around us. Let's start improving the world today. I'm John Fortune, and I want to thank you for watching Lunenburg Storytime. See you next time.
My name is Donna Fortune, and today I'm going to read you a book about an ordinary person who changed the world. The title of the book is Maya Angelou, written by Mary Nin. I love technology, science, and things that move. I'm a very curious person and enjoy learning about the world, its animals, different cultures, and ordinary people like you and me who've done some pretty awesome things. I chose this book because, like so many other people, I think Maya Angelou was an extraordinary person whose brilliant writing has touched hearts and impacted readers around the world. Maya was a writer, activist, and poet that had a talent for capturing human connection with her words. Hi, I'm Maya Angelou. I had a tough start in life, facing challenges that made me feel sad. But guess what? I didn't let those challenges define me. I found something magical that helped me through it all: the power of words. I fell in love with reading and writing. Words became my best friends, and I learned that they had the power to lift my spirit and make me feel strong. My grandmother, who was my guiding star, told me, Maya, always be true to yourself and never be afraid to share your song with the world. Growing up, I faced some tough times, but I never gave up. I traveled the world, met amazing people, and learned many things. Every experience shaped the person I was becoming. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. My love for words helped me rise above the challenges. I discovered the power of poetry when life got tough. For me, poetry was like a gentle breeze that calmed the storm. I became a writer, and one of my most famous books is called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It's about my journey and the struggles I overcame. The title comes from a poem I wrote. It means a lot to me. Because of my own struggles, I wanted to bring hope for others. When I wrote, I was lucky that my words flowed like a river. They often carried the stories of people who couldn't speak for themselves. I met incredible leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and together we worked to make the world a more equal and fair place for everyone. One of my favorite colors in my rainbow was courage. I stood tall and spoke up against injustice, and I hoped to use my words to inspire change. I truly wanted to make the world a better place for everyone. As the years went by, I collected more colors in my rainbow: love, wisdom, and kindness. I met amazing friends who believed in me. Together, we made music with our words, turning the world into a symphony of acceptance and understanding. My rainbow of words reached far and wide, touching the hearts of people all around the world. I realized that words have the power to heal, to unite, and to create a brighter tomorrow. I received awards and honors, not because I wanted to be the best, but because I wanted to be a blessing to others. My heart overflowed with gratitude. I continued to write and share stories. I wanted every child to know that their voice matters, just like yours does. One day, I looked back at my life and saw the magnificent rainbow I created with my words. So remember to paint your own rainbow with the colors of your dreams. Be kind, be brave, and never forget the magic that words can bring. Maya was born in St. Louis, Missouri. She also created an album called Miss Calypso that blends calypso, blues, and folk music. She got involved in the civil rights movement and works with Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King. She published biographies. She collaborated with authors on the screenplay for the film Georgia, Georgia, and that became one of the first African-American women to have a screenplay produced. Maya was also appointed as a professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. Wow, what a great book about an ordinary person who changed the world. Maya Angelou. Whether you're looking for a fresh way to look at things, in need of some feel-good motivation or creative inspiration, Maya Angelou's incredible work is a really rich resource. Though trying moments can often feel punishing and unkind, Maya reminds us that we always have the power to choose how we treat ourselves and others. One of my favorite Maya Angelou's quotes is, "Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud." It's been my pleasure to share this book about Maya Angelou and her amazing life with you today. I hope to see you all again on Lunenburg Storytime. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Karen Gardner, and I'm here today to read to you from Gnomes and Ungnomes, Poems of Hidden Creatures. And the hidden creatures are a lot of different kinds, not just gnomes. There are fairies, dragons, leprechauns, unicorns, and so many more. You'll see. And I'm only going to read from some of the poems. If you're able to get a hold of the book, you'll find out about all kinds of creatures that are funny, mischievous, scary, and you can have fun learning about them. Now, these poems were written by authors from the Writers' Loft, which is in Hudson, Massachusetts, and there are also a number of illustrators who created all the art for the book. And it's really a lot of fun because in addition to illustrating the poems, they also hid a gnome on each spread for you super sleuths to try and find. And the gnomes are either wearing a red cap or another colored cap. Anyway, I'm going to get to the reading of the poems. And the first poem we're going to read is from Kristen Wickstead, who was one of the editors of the book. And her poem was illustrated by Adrienne Tsai. Her poem is called Forest Hide and Seek. Upon a branch in whistling wood, a solitary dryad stood, with tilted head and leafy ears, dodging plunks of acorn spheres. She asked the stream and mushroom roots, the forest floor's connected shoots, could anybody see her mate? His hiding place illuminate? The waterfall, the mossy log, the boggy pond, the peaty bog, a knothole nest, the splashy rocks, the nestled grotto home of fox? The wind, it held its breath and then blew, whoosh, across the narrow glen. It was the wind then, in the end, who helped her find her hiding friend. Now the next poem is written by the other editor of this book. Her name is Audrey Day Williams, and her poem is Legendary Love Note. Hot sauce comes from dragons' tears. Fairies poop confetti. Leprechauns burp rainbows, but I am just a Yeti. I sometimes smell like pickle juice. My feet are big and sweaty. Can you find room inside your heart to love this hairy Yeti? What do you think? Can you do that? Now I'm going to skip over to Heather Kelly's poem, and her poem is Let Us Be Myths, and it's illustrated by Leanne Lutkemeyer. Let us be dragons, cruising in flight, stardust scales winking at the world, sights set on the green flash at the bend of the earth. Let us be fairies, speaking our truth, earth dust motes spiraling from wings, untether from what's known to seek what might be. Let us be unicorns, charging to fight, moondust soaking our thick skin, horns compassed toward the north to champion all. Let us be gnomes, feet holding the earth, hat tilting toward sunrise and sundust, hands clasping our mysteries and treasures safe within. Let us be dreams, unafraid to be seen, unafraid to know, unafraid to fight, unafraid to stand, free to be. Now I'm going back to the spread where Audrey Day Williams' poem is, because there are 3 other poems on that page, including one by me. And the illustrator for our poems is Credence Kenna. So you've heard Audrey's legendary love note, and hopefully you can find it in your heart to love a Yeti. And now I'm going to read Anne Lambert's poem, I Am Waiting for You. Peering up, I wait for someone to cross my bridge. Dinner from my plate. Now that was a haiku. It had 5 syllables in the first and third lines and 7 in the middle. I think you might want to avoid the bridge, though. You don't want to be the dinner of that troll. The next poem is Centaur of Attention. It's by Karen Gardner. Remember, I'm the one who said, I'm Karen Gardner? That's right. So here's Centaur of Attention. I prance like a horse, yet am also half human. Your weird, wild neighbor. That was also a haiku. Okay, and this last poem, another haiku by Laurel Santini called Sasquatch Sacks Out. Snort, snore, snuffle, wheeze. Can you make those sounds? I'll say them again. Snort, snore, snuffle, wheeze. Rumbles echo through the trees. Shh. Sasquatch slumbers. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed these poems. There are many more in this anthology, telling you about many other kinds of creatures and offering a variety of kinds of poems and wonderful illustrations. And don't forget also the hidden gnomes on each spread that you can be the master detective and find. What fun! I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Have a great day.